Now I should share. Okay. Could I see the Gemara? You can see it? Okay. So we are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 lines from the top on Daf Daf Ches Amud Aleph. And we are up to Meisvei. So what we said now is that if somebody made a shvua that he won't eat this kikar, and there's none of the kikar left, there's less than the gazais left, there's no iser to be shoyal on. If some of the kikar is still left over, so then you could be shoyal on the shvua because there's kikar left. But if there's nothing left, you can't swear on it. I'm going to show you that even if there's nothing left, you could still be shoyal on the nether. It says in the Brisa by Naziris, Misha Nodar Shtei Naziris. We had this Brisa yesterday. Someone said Iranian Nazir once, and then Iranian Nazir a second time. Umana Rishona, and he went through the entire first set of Naziris, and then the Hifrish Allah carbon, and then he was Mafrish a carbon, and then he decided V'achach Nishal Allah Rishona. And then he was shoyal on the first Naziris. Allah is also 30 days that he spent being a Nazir will count to satisfy the second set of Nazirs because the first set of Nazirs now both because he was shoyal on it. When was he shoyal on it? After he already had the it's over. According to you can't be shoyal on the shul, there's nothing left. The Naziris, there is nothing left. So what are you being shoyal on? Zok to Gemara. Zok to Gemara. He set aside a carbon, but they weren't yet makriv the carbon, and therefore, it's not considered like the Naziris is over. But Vatanya Kikar, we have a brisa that says he did bring the carbon. But it's b'shaloi gilach. He didn't take his haircut yet. The Vibalti didn't take his haircut yet. The first Naziris is still there, it's still intact, and therefore you could be shoyal on it, and you could be matir the nether and uproot the whole Naziris l'mafreya. Zok the Gemara for Rebbe Lezi, the Omar taglachas mak. It's going to go to Rebbe Lezer who holds that if the Nazir doesn't shave, that does not terminate his Naziris. His Naziris is not terminated until the taglachas. But Tanya, we learned Gilach. We learned that this case is even in a case where the Nazir had already taken the haircut, even over there, he could be shoyal on the Naziris. So to Gemara, Amar Ravashi, a big chiddush. Naziris karamis. You're asking me from Naziris, and you're saying just like the Naziris after it's almost over, I could be shoyal on it, and it'll work. So too by shvu. Zok to Gemara, there's a very big difference. Mi garam l'shniya shalatochel. Why wasn't the second Naziris right away? Because the Naziris Rishona was there. The Zok to Gemara, Mi garam l'shniya Rishona. Now, but that's not it. So the Naziris Shniya was never bottled. The Naziris Shniya was waiting around, and you were going to start doing the Naziris Shniya after the Naziris Rishona. So the Naziris Shniya is waiting there. Now you were shoyal on the first Naziris, so it's gone. So kum techois, the 30 days that you sat as a Nazir would have automatically been to fulfill the Naziris Shniya. That's how it would work by Naziris. But over here by a shvua, if when he swore that if after the whole thing is over, he swore, there's no shvua. Right. So our discussion was he had two shvuas, going to be shoyl on one shvua, and then the first shvua will be chal. So for that you can't, because the first shvua was the original shvua tasher kikar. When you made the second shvua, it was never chal. The nazir shni hangs around. Why does it hang around? Because you're going to have to fulfill it after you finish the nazir rishayna. Now that you're shoyl the nazir rishayna, we say the 30 days you already spent as a nazir will work towards your nazir shnia. But by the shvua shalai, when you made twice the same shvua, the second shvua was never even chal in the first place, and therefore, even if you're shoyl the rishayna, there is no shnia there. Okay, beautiful. Zok to Gemara Vayt. Amemar said, Afilu achla kula, even if you ate the complete kikar, nish, and there's no isser left from the shvua, still nishal aleha, you could still be shoyl on this shvua. Why? Even if he ate and it was over the shvua b'shayge muflas a carbon. He hasn't brought his carbon yet. He didn't get his kapara yet. That's enough that you could say you could still be shoyl on the nether. And he b'mezid, and if he violated the nether b'mezid, mechusha malchus, he's missing malchus. So therefore, he's still not finished with the shvua. You could still be shoyl on it. Aval kafsu ala amud. Once you already tied him to the beam that you were going to give him malchus on, then loy. Then we say it's over already. Because once you tied him up to the amud, once they tied the guy up to prepare him for the malchus, he got his kapor already. In the Shmuel, like Shmuel said, Yom Shmuel, kafsu ala amud. What if they took somebody who was chayiv malchus and they tied him to the beam, virotz mi bezdin, and he escaped and he ran away? Potter is potter. Why? Because once he's tied to the beam, he already got his kapara. So too over here, once he's tied to the beam, he got his kapara, and that means the shvua, the original shvua, is completely over, and you can no longer be shoyal on it. Zok to Gemara, you don't have a raya from there. Zok to Gemara, it's not just because he was tied to the amud doesn't necessarily say that he had his kapara, because Hasam Rutz, there the Gemara says that he escaped, he ran away. Running away from Bezdin, from getting malchus, in and of itself is terribly humiliating, and that's what affects his kapara. But stop the fact that he's tied up to the amud does not affect his kapara till he actually gets to the malchus. And therefore it wouldn't be a kapara, and you could still be shoyal on the nether, even if he's tied up and prepared to get his malchus. Okay. Gewaltig. Now we get a little bit complex. Omar Rava said, what if such a shvu kikar zu? Im oichel zu. I will eat kikar number 2 if I eat kikar number 1. So kikar number 2 is the object that he's answering, and kikar number 1 is the tanai that will trigger the isser. So he said, the tanai to trigger the isser is kikar number 1. The kikar that becomes usher is kikar number 2. That's the shvur that he made. Zokt Rava im oichel zu. I'm sorry. And then what happens? V'ochal es. First one b'shoyge. So the trigger amazing, and the shniya, the usher one, the second one, he knew already that he made a shvua. He knew that it was triggered, and he ate it b'mezid. Allah, he not bring carbon. Might want to ask why not? Or she got malchus because he did it b'mezid. Zok Rashi, we're on the right side.
Oh,
Zok Rashi, that if at the time of the trigger he was unaware, he was shoygig, meaning at the time of the trigger when he ate kikar number 1, he had forgotten that he made a nether based on kikar number 1. since he had forgotten that he made a neder kikar number one, we say that when is the time that the shvuah is chal? Not when he said those words. The shvuah is chal when he eats the trigger kikar, when he eats kikar number one. You don't. There's no button. He's just pushing. Oh. So the making of the shvuah occurs when he eats the trigger, when he eats kikar number one, and at the time that he ate the trigger, it was a shogeg, meaning he had forgotten that was the trigger for the shvuah. We say that it doesn't meet the standards of a shvuas bitui because it says ha'adam b'shvuah, and we learned only if he's aware of what's going on when he makes the shvuah. But if he's not aware of what's going on when he makes the shvuah isn't chal at all. So over here, Ribaut, when he ate the trigger kikar, he forgot that he made a shvuah on it. So we look at it like at the time of the shvuah, he was not a adam. He was not by his sanity, and he wasn't aware of what he was doing, and it's not a shvuah at all. So therefore, if he ate the Rishayna b'shogeg, whether he ate the Shnei b'mezid or not, it doesn't matter. There is no shvuah here because the trigger was made when he was not aware that was actually a trigger. But Rishayna b'mezid, what if when he ate the trigger, he knew he was eating the trigger? Now that shvuah is chal, and therefore Vishnei b'shogeg, if he eats the kikar number two, the subject of the iser, vita b'shogeg, that's a standard case of a shvuas bitui where he forgot the shvuah, chayiv will be chayiv. What about shtei and b'shogeg? What if he ate, say the first kikar, he forgot about the shvuah, and the second kikar, he forgot about the shvuah? The halach is, of course, is potter, because once again, the moment the trigger was eaten without yediyah b'shogeg, there is no shvuah here at all. Okay, let's turn on to Amud Beis. I have something funny going on up here. Let me see what we can do.
We doing it?
Okay, I'm going to have to take a second to find this, the daf, because I don't have the right web address for it. 1 second. Please bear with me while I get Amud Beis up. I'm sorry. My internet is a little bit slow on the phone, I guess.
Past the border?
No, I'm at the last service area on the thruway.
Actually, I'm not listening. I'm
Right, it's again.
9 o'clock. I better be finished by 9 o'clock. I'll keep you posted. Sorry.
You're listening?
What?
You're listening?
Oh, forgetting.
Fell asleep.
Fell asleep? Okay, I'm glad. You just lived.
I had a tooth
Oh, yeah?
operation yesterday, so I was on painkillers.
Okay.
Makes sense. Something to keep the horse. Yeah.
Oh, tazai. Now I just got to go to Amud Beis. Okay. Can you see Amud Beis?
Not yet.
Okay. Stay and b'mezid. What if they were both b'mezid? So when you ate the trigger, you knew you had made that shvuah, and when you ate the iser one, you knew as well. Zok to Gemara, the halach is it depends what happened. If he first ate the trigger, and then he ate the iser, mechayev, he'll be chayev because that's a regular shvuah. the trigger made the shvua, and then he was over the shvua. However, if he first ate the one that he answered, and then he ate the trigger, that will depend. The time that he didn't know that because when he ate the kikar that he answered, the Tanai had not yet been fulfilled because he didn't eat the other kikar. So therefore, it's going to be totally in the machloikas of Asra Sofik. Look to the Rabbi Yochanan, very shlokish. Laman Domer Asra Sofik Shema Asra. If you hold Asra Sofik Shema Asra Chayiv, because he's eating the kikar that's usher. They have to warn him, don't eat it, you're not allowed to eat it. But that's not necessarily true. It's a suffix. Don't eat it because you might end up eating the trigger. So that's Asra, where we're not sure that he's even doing an Avera. So if you hold Asra suffix is a good Asra, then Chayiv, then in fact he will be Chayiv for violating the Shvuah. And he'll get Malchus. But Lamanda B'lav Shema Asra, if you hold it's not a good Asra, Potter, then the person who made the Shvuah will be Potter because we cannot give him a proper Asra because at the time that he ate the Isser, it was not yet known if the trigger would be eaten. Okay, now we have another case. What happens if Talon Zubazu? This guy was a real clown and he wanted to create complicated cases of a Shvuah. So Talon Zubazu, meaning he said, I will not eat loyechel zu imoichel zu, loyechem zu imoichel zu. So he said, I won't eat kikar 1 if I eat kikar 2, and I won't eat kikar 2 if I eat kikar 1. So each kikar was a trigger for the other one. So the halach is as follows. The ochal zu v'zaday natzma u'b'shigadas chaverta. He ate the first kikar knowing that it would be a trigger. Sorry, the not means knowing that he himself answered this kikar, provided that it would be another trigger. But he forgot about the trigger. And and he ate the other kikar, remembering that it was usher, but forgetting that there was a trigger. What is the halacha? Chayiv. There it will be chayiv. Why? I think I said it wrong. Garrett. Right. So let me look in Rashi and I'll read it from Rashi so then it's clear. Zocharu, so I'm in Rashi, that's right up opposite the top crown of the Rabbeinu Chananah. Zocharu, shenishba aleh im yoichel chaverta. He remembered that I said I won't eat this kikar if I eat the trigger, if I eat the other kikar. Avol shakuach but he forgot shenishba al chaverta. But he forgot that he also made the same shvuah on the other kikar. Im yoichel zu, if he will eat this one, v'chala alav shvuas atzma, and that shvuah would be chal on it, she'im yoichel chaverta, because if he eats the second kikar, which is the trigger for this kikar, so he eats this kikar, knowing that he swore on it. But if achila, avol shvuas chaverta, but the shvuah of the second one, loy chalal will not be chal on him, sheba'achila rishayna, because by the first achila, hayushteh shvuya shvuas lachol, ba'areishachuchu shvuas chaverta. So what happened was each kikar was a trigger for the other. Now he's eating one of the two kikar, right? And he remembered that he answered this kikar on him. Now, all he has to do is eat the trigger, and when he eats the trigger, it will be mechayiv. However, this kikar is also a trigger for the other kikar. That part of the equation he forgot. So therefore, since Lagabadi's second kikar the first kikar is the trigger, and when he ate the first kikar, he forgot about the other shvuah. Therefore, the second shvuah, the shvuah on the second kikar, is not valid because when he ate the trigger, he forgot about it. But he did remember when he ate the first one that he answered the first one. Should the trigger be triggered later, and therefore he's chayiv for eating the first one if it gets triggered later, but he won't be chayiv for eating the second one because the second one never became aser because when he ate the first one, which was the trigger for the second one, he didn't remember about that shvu. Okay, so let's read the Gemara inside. He made each one a trigger for the other one. And then Potter, he will be Potter. But but if he ate one, not remembering that he swore on it, but he remembered that he's answering the next kikar, the zubi shikugas atzma without the chaverta, that's when it will be chayiv.
Yosy?
Yes.
How can he remember that he's answering the second one if he doesn't know about the first one? Obviously,
when he ate the first kikar, he remembered that he made a shvuah that if he eats the second kikar, the first kikar will be aser. But he forgot that he also swore that if he eats this kikar, it's going to aser the second kikar. So he remembered when he ate the first kikar that he might have prohibited himself from eating this kikar. So we have to get up to 2-9. It's coming right up. So when he ate kikar number one, he remembered that he swore to prohibit himself from eating kikar number one if in the future he eats kikar number two. But he forgot that he ever swore to aser kikar number two if he should eat kikar number one. So therefore, there's two things happening when he's eating kikar number one. The first thing that's happening is he's eating the kikar that he asered based on the t'nai that has yet to be fulfilled. But he's also eating the trigger for the second kikar. But being that he didn't remember that he had made this kikar into a trigger, that trigger never works. But the second trigger could still work. So that's why he will be chayiv for the item that he's eating if it gets triggered later, but he will not be chayiv for the second kikar that he eats because the first kikar that he eats, which was the trigger, he did not remember that he made that. So it's a little bit complicated, but it makes sense. So again, let's look at the Gemara inside. He ate kikar number one, knowing that he swore about it, but he didn't know that he swore about the second. Vizu, and he ate the second one, that's going to be potter because when he ate each kikar, he only remembered about the isser on the kikar that he's eating, but he forgot when he ate each kikar, he forgot that kikar was a trigger. And we already said that when he's eating the trigger, he has to be fully aware that would trigger a shvuah. Otherwise, it's missing adam b'shvuah. But if he did. So if he ate potter, then he's potter on everything because each of the triggers that he ate, when he ate them, he was unaware. But if it was but when he ate the first kikar, he forgot that he asered this kikar, but he knew that he asered the other kikar. So now the opposite's happening. When he's eating kikar number one, he didn't know that he swore to aser kikar number one. But he did remember that if he eats kikar number one, it's going to trigger a shvuah and an isser for kikar number two. So zuba shikul atzma was on the chaverta, Now each trigger was valid. Chayiv, that will be chayiv. What about Shtein b'shoigig? If he was completely oblivious to both shvuos, potter, because both shvuos are not chal. Shtein b'mezid. What if everything was mezid, which means everything got triggered? Then we say ashniya mechayiv. On the second one, you'll be chayiv. Arishayna, it's going to be plugged to Rabbi Yochanan v'Rish Lakish. That will be the same machlokes of Rabbi Yochanan v'Rish Lakish about Hasra Sofik. Because whenever you eat the Isser before you eat the trigger, that's a Hasra Sofik, and that's totally the machlokes of Rabbi Yochanan v'Rish Lakish. Amar Rav Mori said, Afana Nami Tanina. We also learned a Mishnah that supports this Svara, because it says in the Brayso, there are certain Nidorim that are mistakes. One of them is, I'm answering upon myself this object, whatever it is, but it's with a t'nai, it's triggered by imachalti v'im shashisi. V'niskar sha'achal b'shasa. And he remembered that he ate or drank, which means it triggers the kainim. Or what if he made a kainim shani oichel, shani shaisa, or what if he says, I'm answering myself to eat if I make a different trigger. So the halach is shakach v'ochel v'shasa mutter. If he forgot the trigger and he ate, the shvuah is mutter. Why? Because once again, when he eats the trigger, he has to be fully aware that it is a trigger. Otherwise, we don't consider it that he made a shvuah. Now that's talking about nidarim. So Zok to Gemara, V'tani Allah, and we learned the Brisa referring to the Brisa we just quoted. Keshem shenidrei shgagos mutarin, kach shvuoi shgagos mutarin. The same principle that this Brisa discusses in relation to a neder, that if when he ate the trigger he was unaware of the neder, it's an invalid neder. That applies to shvu as well, which is what we're saying now. Is that if he ate the trigger while he didn't know that it was a trigger, it ends up not working as a trigger because the shvuah cannot be chal when he's not aware of it. And now we have another very interesting situation here with Efa. Is it pronounced Efa or is it pronounced Ifa? This fellow's name. What's that? Efa. So Efa was trying to come up with a good halacha, and he kept on getting shot down. Efa Tani Shavuos Bei Rabba. Efa was learning the Masechah Shavuos. Who was his Rebbe? Rabba. He had a good Rebbe. Paga Bei Avimai Achua. He met his brother of Avimai, and he wanted to share with his brother Avimai some of the Chedushim that he learned by his Rebbe. So Amalei, he told him, Shavuos Shelo Yachalti Mahu. Avimai asked him, what is the halacha if you make two Shavuos Shelo Yachalti? We already learned that the second shvuah is not chal on the first shvuah. That's what we learned yesterday. Amar lei, what did Efa answer? Einay chayiv elo achas. So I apologize. Yesterday we learned shvuah shaloi oichel in the future. Shvuah shaloi oichel in the future. The second shvuah is not chal on the first shvuah, and if he violates the shvuah, he only gets one malchus. Right? That's what we learned yesterday. But now we're asking a different child. Shavuos shelo yachalti, Shavuos shelo yachalti. This is not a commitment not to eat. This is swearing falsely that you didn't eat in the past. So what did Efa paskin? He paskin einay chayav ela achas because he mixed it up with a shvuah shelo oichel in the future. So therefore, Amar lei, Avimai told him you're making a mistake. Ishtabashta, you made a mistake. Hari, so the moment he swears false, he's chayiv. So he swore false, he became chayiv malchus, and then he swore false again, and he's chayiv malchus. So you're wrong by saying only one of the shvuos is chal. The only time you say one shvuah can't be chal, another shvuah, is if he's answering himself from something in the future. But if you're swearing about something at the past, the moment you made the shvuah, it's a shvuah sheker, and it's over, and now it's another shvuah. Okay, that was one case. Another case he asked him, what would be if he made shvuah shelo oichel teisha? I will not eat 9 kikar. I won't eat 9 cookies. And then ve'eser, and I won't eat 10 cookies. So he made 2 Shavuos. One that I won't eat 9 cookies, one that I won't eat 10 cookies. He's chayiv al kalachas v'achas. You're chayiv on both Shavuos. Why? Because he figured the 10th one isn't included in the 9th one. Again, Avim, I told, again, you're making a mistake. Because the moment he swore that he won't eat 9, so now it asks him from eating the first 9. So Eser lo yachel. Of course, the second Shavua cannot be chal on the first Shavua because it's already usher. The first 9 are already usher machmas the first Shavua. Okay, gewaltig. What if he first swore I won't eat 10, and then he said he swore I won't eat 9? Mau. There he said Ein chayav al achad, you're only chayav 1. Avim, I said again, you're making a mistake. Ishtabashta, because also when he swore the first shvur that he won't eat 10, he's allowing himself to eat 9. So when he made the second shvur that I won't eat 9, it would be chal as well. So now he has 2 shvurs on him. One that he won't eat 10, one that he won't eat 9. So he should be mechuyev 2 shvurs. Okay, gewalt. Amar Abaye, Zokt Abaye, Zimnin de mishkachis lo lahada eifa. Sometimes eifa's psak would actually be valid. And when is that? Kidamar. Like Rabbah said, the Amar Rabbah, Shavua shelo oichel te'enim v'anovim. What if someone said, I will not eat te'enim v'anovim? V'chaz of Amar Shavua shelo oichel te'enim. And then he said, I will not eat only te'enim. So Pashtus, te'enim is already usher from the first Shavua. So let's turn over to the next Amid. V'achal tainim, and he ate tainim, and he violated the nether. V'hifrish carbon, and he was mafish a carbon to be mechaper on the avera of eating tainim. V'achagach achal anovim lichudayu, and then he ate only anovim. Now tainim, there is a shvua to asher tainim alone, but there is no shvua to asher anovim alone. The second shvua is only ashering if he eats anovim and te'enim together. But after he was mafish to carbon for the te'enim, so that's gone and done with, then he went and ate anovim. It was not enough to satisfy either shvua. So vacha achal anovim l'chudayu, havalu anovim chati shir. The anovim are not chati shir because it's only half of what he needs to eat to violate the shvua, where he prohibited himself from eating te'enim and anovim. The chati shir loy mechayiv carbon, and for a chati shir for violating half of the shvua, there won't be a carbon. Hachanami, so too over here, going to Amar shvua shelo oichal eser. If he said first, I will not eat 10 kikarim, the chazav Amar shvua shelo oichal teisha, and then he said, I won't eat 9. So we said that they're both chal. But what happens if we said they're both chal? He said you only get 1 chiyuv, because he was speaking about maybe this case. Oichal eser, if you first ate 10, and then v'chazer b'amar shvu shloichal tesha, v'achal tesha. So what happened over here? He made a shvu that he won't eat 10, and he ate 10. And then he made another shvu that he won't eat 9, and he ate 9. And then v'vish carbon, and he was mafish a carbon. V'achekach ochal asiris, and then he ate the 10th one. Havalo asiris chatzi shir. The asiris will be a chatzi shir because for the first 9 they're already taken care of. A chatzi shir loy mechayev. So in such a case, it would make sense that you only bring 1 carbon. Okay. Baruch Hashem, we got through Daf Tav Ches, and Be'ez Hashem tomorrow we will learn Daf Tav Tes. Thank you. Thank you very much.